Welcome back to Vikings Game Plan from the TCO studios. Winning formula time into the game against the Detroit Lions. Wobby, Ron Johnson, and Mark Craig from the Star Tribune and StarTribune.com. Mark covers the Minnesota Vikings and the National Football League. Very well-respected scribe, been doing it for many years, all the way back to when Bill Belichick was head coach of the Cleveland Browns. What was that like?
Brett Favre and I were rookies together in '91. That's
right?
The first year, yeah. Yeah, but this Belichick guy, we didn't think he would ever amount to anything.
The Minnesota Vikings are hoping the victory over Miami afforded them the opportunity to turn a corner into this Lions game. Mark, with the offensive output, the respected defense, and even some assistance via special teams, do you feel they turned a corner?
Yeah, we're so far into this season, I still don't know how to feel about this team because I think it has, who they play plays a role in how they play. Other than, they've beaten the teams that are kind of inferior to them, except for the Bills. Obviously, that was a big loss.
Yeah.
And they've struggled, especially on the road against teams that are as good as them or better. This is a good team that could go one and done, could miss the playoffs, or could make a run. They haven't done anything that's really surprised me yet.
I agree. It is the team you play, but I look at the play calling. And so honestly, in the red zone, before they were a pass-heavy team. We know that. That's what they wanted to do. He said that was his, that was his offense. And Zimmer was on the other side. I want you to run the ball. Well, in the red zone, they ran the ball more than they passed the ball, and they still were efficient. They moved the ball at 6.6 yards on first and second down, which means third down is extremely manageable. And that's why you see play action actually work. And I think Zimmer brought that up. We can't do play action if we're third and long. Like, it doesn't make sense. But when you're 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4, play action is still an option, especially with Dalvin Cook. And you saw the touchdown earlier to Stephon Diggs. It worked. And so that's what I see. It was more on purpose runs and actually made sense with the runs versus let's just run the ball to run the ball.
Now, the Vikings sacked Ryan Tannehill 9 times. The last time they faced the Lions, they got Matthew Stafford 10 times. Wobby, what do you anticipate Detroit will do to combat that and make sure it doesn't happen again?
I think we're going to see a lot of max protect. That's probably predictable, especially with Matt Patricia's ties to New England. I think he's going to take a look at what the Patriots did. The Patriots didn't max protect a bunch. I mean, they spread the Vikings out and used 4 or 5 wide receivers, put Brady in the gun, and got the ball out quickly. And if you go back and watch some of the times when the Vikings had good coverage against the Patriots, Brady just got rid of the ball, took an incompletion, lived to see another down. Yeah. So I think as much or maybe even more than max protect, I think that they will put Stafford in the gun and spread us out.
Yeah, I'd say the problem too for the Lions is they're Johnson-less this week, so no carry-on Johnson, and then also Jones is out. So when you look at they're 22nd in passes of over 20 yards, and they've only had 5 passes over 40 yards. So Stafford hasn't really used the down the field pass. And so, yeah, it's going to be a bunch of dink and dunk. I think that's going to be his answer. I got to get the ball out of my hands quick. So we're going to see a lot of slants, a lot of hitches. And then hopefully, he's hoping they can get some max protect. But I don't even think max protect works with the Lions right now. I think they're trying to find their identity, and they haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
I think what really helps them is they get out of US Bank Stadium. I mean, that stadium, with the way as aggressive as Zimmer is and the speed that this defensive line has and the power that they have, when they're put in that situation, that crowd gets going, it's a different ball game, which is going to make it tough for them if they have to go on the road. Here it's a different story.
Let's take a peek at the playoff picture with the Vikings currently a wild card. Mark, where do you think it goes from here?
A lot could depend on where the Bears going to be playing for something that final week. I think that the Vikings can win that, will win that game because it's here. I think the Vikings, I think they win their next 2. I think they get in. I'm not quite sure where. But I'm thinking that they're probably going to be going back to Chicago to play a playoff game.
The one key factor, we talked about this, was nobody expected the Eagles to do what they did against the Rams. And so that's the one piece of this puzzle that the Texans have to beat the Eagles because then the Eagles play the Redskins. And I don't know how Josh Johnson found a way to win with the Redskins. I mean, he pulled a rabbit out of his hat with 150 yards and won a game. Wow. But if you look at the Eagles, that's the one key piece of this. I think, the Panthers, we know they're done. Cam Newton, he already melded in and he's done for the season. You look at the Redskins, they might call Wobby to come play quarterback the last 2 weeks.
For the right price, I would do it.
Right? But if you look at the Eagles, that's the one. Game. So the Vikings are going to have to hope for a Texans win over the Eagles just to feel comfortable after beating the Lions, and that the Bears game doesn't matter. But again, to Mark's point, if the Rams take another loss, then the Bears are definitely going to want to win that game because then they can play for a bye.
from doing radio with you multiple times early in the week. I know you're exhausted at scoreboard watching, trying to figure out Kansas City gives up 5 yards per run. Now it's at Seattle going against maybe the best rushing offense in the NFL. You got Deshaun Watson on the road, Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP. I mean, it's just too much.
Vikings fans, they think they're cursed, right? And I'm starting to maybe believe them, because the season where they have to scoreboard watch, who are they hoping to lose?
Right.
Seattle and Philadelphia. Yeah, are two of the most clutch teams.
Yeah, and they're both home.
In the NFL.
Yeah.
So you can't hope for those teams to lose. I think they're both going to go 2-0 to close the season, which means the Vikings have to go 2-0. And I don't really see a scenario where Chicago's taking the foot off the gas. They might actually be trying for the number 2 seed in Week 17. So it's going to be full tilt in Week 17.
Mark Craig, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. Wobby, Ron Johnson, Paul Allen. That's Vikings Game Plan from the TCO studios, and thanks for watching.